Here's Baublitz, runway number 10. Saturday, October 5th, 2019. 998 Sierra Charlie, turning final for a low pass at high speed. Lined up at the runway. We're about 100 feet too high. You'll see me slip here to bring it down onto the glide path that I want. Lose altitude quickly. Wind's almost dead on the nose right now, a little bit perhaps coming on from the right, slight. We're just going to go over the wires and check the wind to see how much input it requires to stay lined up with the runway. Not too much cross controls required. See the windsock's pretty much lined up with the runway, so that was a test. Now we took a trip, cross-country trip to Shrewsbury and back, but we cut that out of the video. Just wanted to show that I've improved my controls, of coordinated controls, so my rudder action and coordination with the ailerons is better than it used to be. Here I am coming back from Shrewsbury, approaching from the southwest. We're going to do a traditional fly over the middle of the airport. Join the downwind leg for runway 10, left-hand pattern once we cross over the runway. We're going to assume a pattern altitude of around 1,500 to 1,600 feet MSL here, more or less. Turning downwind now. Got one notch of flaps in. Did that on my approach to slow the plane down. Alright, we're on our downwind leg right now, flying parallel to the runway. Give it another notch of flaps. Slow the plane down. Pull the RPM down. Give it some carb heat. We're now below 1,500, or around 1,500 RPM. You can see we're falling maybe 300 feet per minute. Alright, we're going to turn base. You can see my normal marker here is this barn with the corral. That'll be when I turn final, somewhere around there, just before I get there. Still descending a little bit. Trying to keep coordinated. Somewhere around 300 feet per minute. Alright, I'm lined up on my final. About 1,200 feet above the runway. That's about a good distance of about 3,000 feet, so we've got 400 feet to fall to hit the runway. Alright, we're going to start dropping down. Somewhere around 600 to 800 feet per minute. A little bumpy here now, we got a little turbulence. We're crossing over the wires, probably a little bit high. So we're coming in a little steeper, normal. Round out just a little bit, reduce our descent rate. Nice descent rate. We just touched down with a nice wheel landing. If you look at the inclinometer on the left, slight tail up attitude here as we go down the hill. And now the tail's down. Pretty much as good as it gets on a windy, gusty day like this. We had just put a new battery in the plane. The other battery only was tested out to 700 cold cranking amps. This is a YTX10S Yuasa. It's rated at 190 cold cranking amps. Let's see how it does. This is a hot engine.
Clear.
The engine had never started like this before. On the old battery, it would have needed a jumper battery on this start with a hot engine after we took off. So it would start on a cold engine sometimes, but almost never a hot engine. This one, if you notice, the voltage never fell below 12 volts. So battery's great. It actually tested at 350 cold cranking amps with a battery tester. So it's not what it would produce when it's actually 0 degrees out, or 0 degrees centigrade, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Today was about 60. So the battery did wonderful. That's the bottom line here. And I just want to show you where the charging system, as we rev up the engine, you can see we're up to 14 volts here before we shut it off. So leaning it out to clean the plugs off. All in all, pretty good practice day on runway 10 for Baublitz, and very successful battery replacement.